Welcome to Move the Stairs. This is episode 108. We're recording on January 20th, 2026. We're happy you're here and joining us for this exciting conversation today.
It is going to be really exciting because we're talking about something that just happened, and we're talking with one of our very good friends, Erica Ferris, who's the director of marketing at Monarch Casino Resort Spa. And the entire town where they have the spa was going to have a big power outage. And it's just, she's going to talk a lot about how she got in front of the story and what she did and had to think about so that she didn't get too far in front of the story. So it's going to be a great conversation.
Yeah, I mean, you want to talk about what happens when hurricane force winds come knocking at your door. It creates a lot of challenges and a lot of opportunity. And a lot of people don't think about the latter part, but the challenge is, what do you do when the power company says, hey, we're turning your lights off to make sure that only no wildfires get started? For Monarch, they had an opportunity to say, okay, we have this information. We need to get this out as quickly and as efficiently as possible so that we can continue to operate our business, but also do so in a way that keeps people informed. So that's going to be a big crux of the conversation today. So we'll welcome to the stage Erica Ferris, Director of Marketing for Monarch Casino Resort Spa. Erica, thank you for joining us.
Hi, everybody. It's good to see you all.
Good to see you. Thanks for being here today.
Oh, it's my pleasure.
All right, so we want to talk about customer loyalty. And so I kind of want to set the stage here for the audience if they have not had the pleasure of visiting Monarch Casino Resort and Spa. Here sits this gorgeous spa and casino and hotel in the beautiful Rocky Mountains with these picture windows looking out on the grandeur of the mountains. It's got award-winning restaurants, live entertainment, great gaming, these beautiful rooms with the thread count is through the roof, and the spas won awards, the restaurants have won awards. And then the power company calls and says, because it's really windy, it could be a fire danger, we're shutting the power down. We don't know if it's going to be for 12 or 24, or we don't know how many hours.
Yeah.
So we want to know how you manage not having electricity for hours, if not days on end.
So we ended up not having power for about 36 hours, roughly. It was two evenings. And I'll tell you, at the time, it seemed a lot longer than it was. But they did give us plenty of warning, as much warning as they possibly could have. With as Jordan, I'm sure, discusses on this podcast all the time, weather isn't an exact science. And so when those things happen, the only thing we could do was listen to Excel Energy, get all of the facts straight first, and then choose to go out and talk to our guests and our team members and the community and do all those in a way that helped everyone.
So I know how important customer loyalty is to you. So when you first heard about this power outage and they gave you a pretty wide window for how long it could be, what was your first thought?
We had a major table games tournament the next day when the power was supposed to be off. Plus, because of that, our hotel was full Thursday night and Friday night and Saturday. It was a busy time of the year. So we knew that we had to cancel a tournament to get to as many of those people as we could in order to make sure that we weren't asking people to get on the roads if they didn't want to or need to. It's hard to drive in winds that are that high. So we wanted to make sure that our guest safety was our first concern. We also wanted to make sure that we were only bringing in the team members we needed. Our team member safety was important. But at the same time, we were notified that our entire community was going to have their power shut off. And we know that we have people throughout Black Hawk and Gilpin County that were going to need our assistance as well. So we had to put together, a three-pronged approach. How do we discuss with our guests? How do we discuss with our team members? And what do we do for the community?
So once you had that strategy, Erica, you moved very, very quickly.
Yes.
I saw your message everywhere. We'll talk about the media in just a moment, but talk about first, how you chose to reach out to internal your team members, but also externally those who you knew were going to be impacted by this, whether they were hotel guests or just people in general, saying, "Hey, this is happening. Be careful," essentially.
Sure. So our first thing we did was we went on our website and on social media, and we started sending out messages and notifying people. Here's what's coming up. Here's what will work. Here's what won't work. Here's what you can do. Here's what you can't do. And we thought our best chance was to be so super clear about that, to say, here's what's open. Here's what's not open. Here's what you can do. Here's what you can't do. And that's what we strove to do for our guests, our team members, and the community. We wanted to make sure they understood which restaurant was going to be open and for what hours, because most people don't have the generators that we do, the ability to still turn on all of the things you need in a restaurant. We only have one of our 5 restaurants that did that. So that has generator power. So we had to communicate which restaurant was open. We had to extend the hours. And then we had to make sure that all of our team members knew who was and wasn't coming to work. We attempted to take people from other restaurants to bring them up to the buffet. But at the same time, we had to make sure everyone was safe. So we went to social media. We went to our website. In addition to that, we have a wonderful text program where all of our team members are on this text thread with us, and we can send them messages. Most of the time, we just send them messages about upcoming weather, road closures, and things like that. But this time we were able to say, here's what's going on. Here's what will be open. Contact your manager for more details. And we had a really robust conversation with everybody to make sure everyone was clear.
So you nailed it, internally with that, externally with those methods too on social media. And us, we're all former journalists, and that's, working and developing those relationships with the press is also a huge opportunity to help move that message, right, Mitch?
Absolutely. You think about one of your options for getting the word out was to be the first casino in Black Hawk to reach out to the media. Because remember, at the time, there was the hubbub around town that the energy company may be doing some shutdowns because the wind is really high, but no one really knew for sure. So here you decide to be the first casino to reach out. Why did you decide to be the first? And did you have any reservations about that? Any concerns that it was the right way to go?
So up until the moment they shut off the power, they called it a pending closure. They weren't saying they're definitely taking it down, because if the wind never developed, they weren't going to do it. But as it got windier and windier on that Thursday night, we knew it was going to come down. And then the time came that they told us they were taking it down, and they didn't. And it wasn't until an hour later that they actually took the power down. And so we were a little concerned that we were being overly cautious. We were concerned that I was going to tell all these people, don't come here if you don't want to sit somehow in the dark. And it was going to turn on and we were going to be fine. And I would have told you, please don't come up here. There's no power. And so there was this worry that I was, being overly cautious. But I felt, based on our conversation with XL Energy, that they were going to turn it off. There was no chance. For me, there was no chance that they weren't going to. It was just a matter of when they were actually going to turn it off and how long it was going to take them to get it back on.
Yeah.
And so when you reached out to the media, were they open to the story? Did you think the ones that did report it, did you think they clearly reported it? Because sometimes it can get a little hairy. And how did you work it? So Monarch wasn't associated with the story as a problem, but more as the adult in the room, the one who really took the leadership role, the one who said, hey, this is going on and you need to know about it. And we're going to be the ones that are out here telling you about it.
I think part of building customer loyalty is building customer trust. Trust that when something happens, you're going to say and do the right thing. So for us, being clear about that was most important. So when the person who came up and did the story reached out, I was very clear with the woman. I said, here's what's open, here's what's not open, here's what I can do, here's what I can't do. But also, here's what we're doing to support people who are here, the community, and our team members. And I made it pretty clear that it was all part of the same story.
So it made a big difference then, I'm sure, to the reporter as well, because it's a way for them to kind of personalize a big wind event. Here's who it's going to impact, right?
I think it was a way for them to tell a story about something that was impacting a business, but there was a business who was rising above it and still doing the right thing. And being super communicative was something that we got complimented on, not only by, our leadership, but also by just strangers on the internet who reached out to us to thank us for being so clear and so open and honest about what was going on. And as a result, we still had quite a few people that came up. We were still quite busy that day. Our buffet was busy from the moment it opened to the moment it closed. We were still able to send packaged food to the relief shelter here in Gilpin County, where people without power but had medical needs were going, to keep CPAP machines and oxygen machines and other machines working. We were able to send them food. We were able to do all these things because once we heard about it, we didn't dally about. We made a plan, and then we executed, and we just kept executing on the plan.
By getting in front of it like that, you gave the media an avenue to personalize the story, because that's what they're looking. In the end, that's what they're looking for. You're not going to go on at 5 o'clock and have a reporter stand and go, "Yep, it's windy." No, what does this mean? How does this impact our world? Well, you gave them that opportunity.
We absolutely did, and I think that's part of having a great relationship with the media as well, is making sure you're not bringing them up for a story that's just kind of fluffy and weird. I was giving them a unique angle on the story. I was giving them a great place where they could walk around and see how, yes, it's very windy outside, but at the same time, look how many people here and look how much they're doing. So when you provide a lot to the media, I find they provide a lot to you.
Absolutely. I also think it's important that the minute you heard about the wind and the fact that this was coming, and then you got the message from Excel, you started building a plan. And that really is all about brand protection PR. I mean, being resilient, saying, what are we going to do? How are we going to sit here and move the stairs, right? I mean, that's the whole thing. So it's become second nature to you to do this. It's interesting. We just did a survey, and it showed that 70% of businesses that we surveyed 1,000 businesses, didn't even have a crisis communications plan when it comes to really reaching out. And what I think is interesting is that in this situation, this wasn't a crisis that you didn't have notice of. You did have notice of it. You heard that they were going to, but you acted quickly. I think that that's really interesting. And without that plan, you're kind of putting it together on the fly. Do you think that helped you as far as making things go as smoothly as they did?
We already had because we have a crisis communication plan, that means we have a group of people that know that they're the group that sits down and we make decisions together. So when something happens, it's not a, who do I grab? What do I do? We already have that worked out. So it was simply a matter of sending out a text message and saying, meet me in this conference room at this time. And everyone showed up and they knew what was happening. We had a great conversation. We made the best plan as quickly as we could, but it was because we were prepared.
Makes all the difference.
I think if we didn't have a plan for who needed to be in the room to make the decision and what our communication points were, I think it would have gotten a lot harder.
Yeah, absolutely.
Has that always been the case, Erica? I'm just curious. You don't have to out anybody, but as you think back on your professional career, have you always been in those scenarios where you've had an established plan, so if whatever the case may be, power shut off or otherwise, we're all going to meet in this conference room, and this person's delegated these tasks, this person's delegated those tasks, everybody's going to be taken care of. Has that always been the case?
No. Well, of course not. I have worked at places that were fly by the seat of their pants and did the best they could. And at the end of it, we always got together and said, wow, we really could have done this better or this better. Here at Monarch Casino Resort Spa, we make it a plan to review that plan and to discuss it. And after we were presented with the plan and made adjustments, I remind people all the time, and we cover certain points of that in our directors' meetings. And I think one of the things we were able to call out after the shutdown, we had some areas where, gosh, we wish we could have had this plug on generator power. I wish we had another light in rooms, things like that. But luckily, one of the things we did not discuss at any point was, could we have communicated better? Because we nailed it. And that's something that, when you look back, when you Monday morning quarterback yourself, don't you love that there are whole areas where you can be like, nope, just do that again. Nope, and we were really just focused on a couple of, if more things were on the generator.
Well, when you're in a spot where you can say this plug versus that plug, should have had power, you're doing something right with your plan. So kudos to you and your team, Erica.
Yeah. I mean, I think it's a lot of hard work to say, hey, we need to put another plug in the rooms on generator. Because what we found was, we had several people who were staying here with medical needs. Mm-hmm. And we needed to make sure that a plug in the bedroom that was closer to beds is the one that worked.
Yeah.
And we wouldn't have known that if we were still worried about who to talk to and how to talk to them and all the other things. We were able to hone in on these small things that can really make a difference to our guests.
I like your mindset that having a plan shouldn't be thought of as extra work. It's actually makes your job easier, because we know there are some companies out there like, what are you going to do if the media calls? Oh, I hope they never call. I don't even want to think about it. And they don't have a plan. So having one makes things click along when a challenge knocks on the door. Do you think it also makes your brand more resilient because you've got that plan in place?
Yes, absolutely. I think brand resilience is about taking as many factors out of the equation as you can in times of stress. Yeah. Having one less thing to worry about makes it so the only thing you have to worry about is the situation itself. Because the power outage is enough for a business to handle.
Yeah.
They also don't need, well, how do you communicate on Open Table to cancel your reservations? How do you do this? How do you do that? You don't need that in your life when there's a problem. I have a power outage. That's enough. So be prepared to talk about anything. And I think one of the other things that we're really proud of here is how many of our senior team is media trained, who knows what to say, who knows what to do. And therefore, you're not waiting for me to get out of bed just for something to happen, right? We had somebody here 24 hours who knew and was prepared to talk to anyone should they need to. But it also means if you're prepared to talk to the press, you're also prepared to talk to our guests. Right. And you're prepared to talk to our guests in clear and concise language that's on brand and appropriate.
Wonderful.
And I just think that builds trust all the way through, whether you're talking about your guests, whether you're talking about the media, they know what they're doing, whether you're talking about viewers and listeners to the media, but we know how fast your brand can be destroyed by not having that plan, but having it. And I think it builds great teamwork. I mean, it's like, okay, our team has got this. We can really focus, as you said, on the issue, but it's a team that works together that makes sure that all those things hum, and it makes you very proud to work someplace. And when you went the extra mile and said, what can we do for the community? I think that was key.
Right. I think when you live in a community, especially one as small as Gilpin County, and you're so large, I think you can't just sit there and think of just yourself. You have to think about the community. We have lots of kids who come to these schools. We have residents. And I mean, we are lucky in the fact that a lot of these residents live pretty rurally and we're able to sustain themselves for a period of time. But when all of your surrounding areas also lose power, the places they would normally go. So it was important to us to make sure that places like the Red Cross had the tools they needed to support the community.
And what a great opportunity, not only to help them, but to tell your story that way so people get to know about that. And that's so cool.
Yeah, I think it makes it, when you do talk about other things that you do for the community later on, it also rings more true. It feels better for you. And it feels better because this is something we consistently do. This isn't something that springs up once a year. All right, now it's time to do something nice. But it's something that we think about all the time.
It's part of the culture there. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
So if someone wants to learn more about Monarch Casino Resort Spa, where would you send them?
Well, our website, monarchblackhawk.com, is one of the best places. Also, as we've been talking about, our Facebook and Instagram pages are like a great place to find out what's going on, what we're doing, and also any road or travel conditions that would impact your travel. Because even though the power's on, thank goodness, we still have a lot of road construction that we're dealing with. And we use those Facebook and Instagram to continue to talk about those challenges with getting here safely and in a timely fashion. So make sure to always check that to make sure you're up to date on road conditions, weather conditions, and what we're up to.
Yeah.
And don't forget to check out the #2 spa in the country. I mean,
Oh, yes.
Yeah, exactly. It's
And
a beautiful spot.
what is it? The #3 players club in the country.
that's right. That's
Right.
right.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
Well, Erica, thank you so much for joining us.
Oh, thanks for having me. I had a lovely time.
Good.
It was great. Thank you.
You're so
Thank you.
welcome.
It's Erica Ferris with Monarch Casino Resort Spa on the Move the Stairs podcast. Guys, good conversation. It's great to hear her mindset, how she goes through step by step and how she handled what could have been a real mess, right? It was a challenge.
Absolutely. Knowing those target audiences. I mean, if you really think about it, she had her employees, she had her guests,
Yeah.
she had the media, and they added in the community. And I think that adding in the community and having the messages, knowing what they were going to do and how they were going to reach out to help other people takes it all to the next level. And when you talk about customer loyalty, I think customers really appreciate that type of a culture.
Yeah, just the customers knowing what's going on. Like, look, this isn't ideal, but it looks like you're on top of it. So I feel so much better immediately. It's the building that customer trust. It was actually an opportunity to build it even further, right? Yeah,
Definitely. And it all comes with a plan. And, you sleep better at night with a plan, bottom line. And knowing full well that this was going to be an issue as a very well forecast wind event for Colorado. The rumors swirling, pun intended there, of the wind, leading to a power shutoff was not lost on Erica and leadership at Monarch, and they put their heads together and said, this is what we're going to do. And it's, they executed it to a T.
that's awesome. She said, I thought it was key. She said, if you provide the media a little something, they'll provide you with something. And I think that's really important. I remember as a reporter, calling somebody, say, look, I'm not out to get you, but I'm trying to personalize the story. Can you tell me about the wind event, the fire, the flood, whatever it was? And then I would always remember that. And then next time when my news director or my executive producer or managing editor would say, hey, do you know anybody that does this? And I'm like, well, yes, I do. Because I've kind of, established some rapport there. So it's good for the reporter. It's good for the business.
That's right. Knowing what you're going to do, what you're going to say can just build a resilience into your business in a whole new way. And as Jordan said, help you sleep better at night. And that's what it's all about. So great podcast. Thank you so much.
And thank you again for Erica Ferris, Director of Marketing from Monarch Casino Resort Spa, for joining us on the Move the Stairs